Hey, everybody. Good morning. Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning.
We wanted to take just a few minutes to sit down together and talk about a few things that might be on everyone's mind. Right off the bat, we want you to know that there's not a day that we don't wake up and think about just provision, honestly, the Lord's provision through us for you, and then protection for you. And I just want to remind you before we even just hear from our president, just a few things that I know you already know. Number one, as it relates to safety, sometimes I'll get a text from time to time from a mom or from a student. When you're the largest weekly gathering of young adults in the world, you're already always a big fish in the sea. And so anytime we move, we make a lot of waves, and because of that, we get a lot of attention. And so from time to time, we get the question of safety, and I want you to be reminded that we do have a very proactive plan. Chief Hinckley and his team work aggressively to not only have a plan, but to update that plan and to make it the best plan possible for you. And they're incredibly competent in the way that they always think through everything. Sometimes we don't give you all the plan because we don't want to also give someone else the playbook, right? And so just know that they're constantly planning, constantly serving. They're always police officers that are here in uniform and in plain clothes. Just know that that's always there. Second, we have each other. And honestly, as this school, that's one of the greatest things about this family. Here at Liberty University, we have each other. And what that means for us is that we have each other's back when somebody's sick, right? We have each other's back when someone has a financial need. We do the best we can to provide for one another. We have each other's needs back when it comes to spiritual needs. So why would we not have each other's back if it's a safety issue? And so know that we walk as a family, and so we have a plan. We have each other. And the biggest one is, we just sang that a second ago, we have hope. We have Christ, and that's what makes us different. As Christians, we're not going to be overwhelmed by fear. We're not going to be overwhelmed, by threats, because we have a greater hope than the circumstances around us. And so our hope in Christ is our firm foundation, and that's what makes us be able to get up and not let someone really, call us into a place. And honestly, the greatest thing, evidence of the fact that we have a hope and we're bigger than that, is going to be tomorrow morning, President Falwell, when we walk right back in here during the week of finals, and we have this fun, goofy, just amazing hour, this annual thing called Christmas Convo, right? And it's going to be an amazing time. And we ain't slowing down. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. But yeah, I just wanted to remind you of those things. And I love you, and I'm excited about, honestly, our best semester yet, and next semester at Convo. But I wanted to give President Falwell just a few minutes with you.
And David, as everyone knows by now, even if you weren't here on Friday, I spoke at Convocation about Liberty's concealed carry policy. And we have a lot of press here today, and I think it would be helpful. You have a unique perspective on some of the topics we were talking about. If you could just address those for a minute before I make my remarks.
Yeah, absolutely, President Falwell. I mean, I think one of the things that makes my perspective unique is I am from Iran. I used to be Muslim before the Lord saved me out of Islam and into Christianity at 18. And what I remember about the Christians who led me to Christ, out of Islam and into Christ, was the fact that they had a towel in their hand. They served. Just a 30-second version of my story. I got invited to church by a buddy of mine on a Saturday night. Honestly, we were smoking weed together when he invited me to church. And I'm just being honest, all right? And so I walked into my house, and I asked my dad if I could go to church. And my father, instead of saying no, said, "What's the name of the church?" Simply because a group of Christians had decided to go after my father. My father owned a restaurant, and they had gone to my dad's restaurant, and what I didn't know was that for 2.5 weeks, These Christians from this church had served my dad at his restaurant. They had a towel in their hand. They waited on tables. They served my dad for free. They called it missions. My dad called it stupid Americans, but God was at work, right? And God had used that to massage my dad's heart. So the reason I got to go to church the first time I ever got invited was because a bunch of believers loved and served my dad. And so I think we are known for that here at Liberty University. We're known for having the towel in our hand more than, that's our greatest weapon, right? In fighting the good fight, in serving people. And people lose track of that in sometimes in moments like this. But I want to remind just all of you that you served 600,000 hours of community service. 600,000 hours of community service in this city. And we serve the world as a university. And that is really the greatest imprint that we have. And as an Iranian who came to Christ because of a bunch of Christians who served me and my family, and again had the towel in their hand, I think it's just important for us to be reminded that that is ultimately what we're about more than anything else here. I'm proud of you because you go further than anyone I've ever seen in that attitude of service.
And along those lines, I want to give you an update on what's happened since Friday. You know, the context of my remarks was the vicious killing of the 14 innocent people in San Bernardino. And I told you on Friday that we were actively reaching out to the first responder and to the families. Dan Bolton reached I don't know the last name of the family, but he reached them yesterday. It was a family with 3 children, ages 10, 12, and 15, who had immigrated here from Iran.
Yes.
The mother was killed in the shooting, and the father took the call, and when he answered the phone, he said, "I just can't believe that Liberty University is calling me because all of our family have become Christians since we came to the United States." And He broke down in tears on the phone because he had been searching for years about how they were going to obtain a Christian college education for those 3 kids. So if that's the only reason all this press and everything that's happened this week happened, then I think that's a wonderful thing. At least 3 of the victims' children will be sitting out here with you in not too many years, and we were so thrilled to hear about that. And while the 2 primary perpetrators in California were radicalized Islamic terrorists, my comments, I really want to thank all of you. Some of my comments were taken out of context. They only used part of my quote in some of the news reports. And the support and love and messages that I received from all of you meant the world to me. And I just want to thank you very much for that. As the president of this university of community of some nearly 15,000 students and 7,000 faculty and staff, I take very seriously my responsibility to keep you safe in an increasingly dangerous world. And that's why in 2011, I asked our Board of Trustees to consider a concealed carry policy. It wasn't because of Islamic terrorism, it was because of what happened just an hour and a half up the road at Virginia Tech. And more than 30 innocent students and faculty were murdered just viciously, and none of them had the ability to protect themselves. And from the day that happened, I thought we needed to do something different here at Liberty. We needed to have a way to protect our students, our faculty. And so we instituted this free course in 2010, 2011. We were one of only a handful of schools in the whole United States that had taken that position at that time. Now, many schools have followed suit. There are dozens. And we have had 1,600 people take that course. We have 950 here now with concealed carry permits. And after I made those remarks on Friday, we had 240 sign up for a course tomorrow night. We had to move it. And we had to move it to the Supreme Court room in the law school because there were so many of you that signed up. But I want to applaud you and thank you for taking steps to make our campus even more safer, or more safe, I should say. And sorry about that. That'll be the headlines. But now I recognize not every one of you would be comfortable. It's only for students 21 years and older. But we've decided, our board, like I said earlier, they voted unanimously to enact the policy several years ago, but we're changing the policy about residence halls, because when we enacted that policy, all of our parking lots were near the dorms, and it was easy for students just to leave their guns in their cars. But now the parking lots are a good distance from the dorms, and so we're changing that policy so concealed carry permit holders can, and that's because of a lot of requests I've received from students about not being a good idea of having gun-free zones in the residence halls. So we're making that change at your request, and we. You know, we're working more and more closely with our campus police, as David said, and I just can't help but think if the shooters, what'd I say? I think if the shooters could have, if some of those 14 who were killed and 17 who were injured, if just 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of those victims had carry permits and guns, maybe there would have only been 3 or 4 deaths, and I don't know who in this country could say that it was not a good thing that 10 lives were spared. You know, it's just, it just boggles my mind that anybody would be against what Jesus told his disciples in Luke 22:36. He told them if they had to sell their coat to buy a sword, to do it, because he knew danger was coming, and he wanted them to defend themselves. So with those comments made, I just want to say, as a Christian university community, we must trust God and pray for his protection on our campus, but we must also look out for each other and report suspicious activity and be alert. We just need to be supportive of those who choose to carry a concealed permit and be supportive of those who don't. And with those comments said, I want to introduce Dr. Ben Gutierrez. I asked him to